Hey guys, how are you all doing? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto x Origa Discordia x Hachishaku-sama, part 2. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, Zero Rashi Uchiha, subscribe if you enjoy the video, let's start the story. Konoha, Hokage Tower. Still no sign of Naruto. Jiraiya, are you sure you've looked everywhere where this culprit has stolen Naruto? Asked the Sandaime Hiruzen Sarutobi holding his smoke pipe looking at his student who is indeed the Toad Sage. No, but from my recent searching I spoke with the toads who seem to know about this culprit, Jiraiya spoke seeing the Sandaime have a serious expression staring at his student. Well, what do they know? Asked the old Cage looking at his student. The toads managed to find out who this mysterious culprit is. I didn't want to believe it at first, but it could be trouble. On the day where Naruto was taken, the toads detected evil yokai chakra with a mixture of darkness, the power, and signature that was there. I couldn't describe it. The Toad Sage spoke seeing Hiruzen raise a brow waiting for his student to finish. Though Ma and Pa detected this yokai chakra and got spooked the moment they detected it. I've never seen them feel consumed with so much fear. It's as if they knew whose yokai chakra this was. Jiraiya continued seeing his sensei about to speak. What got them spooked? Did they know whose chakra it belonged to? Hiruzen asked, seeing his student take a deep breath and sigh, getting ready to tell his sensei. I honestly didn't want to believe this, but it turns out that the yokai chakra they detected was Hachishaku-sama's, answered Jiraiya, seeing his sensei go pale in the face like another certain student of his that went rogue. You don't mean that Hachishaku-sama, Jiraiya? Asked Hiruzen with slight fear seeing his student nod. Yes, that Hachishaku-sama, Jiraiya spoke grimly, as Hiruzen had a horrified expression. How? How has she returned? Wasn't she sealed away in the era of the Third Shinobi War? And what could she possibly want with Naruto? The Sandaime questioned in disbelief and fear that the urban legend had returned. When he was just a genin, his sensei told him and his teammates stories about Hachishaku-sama and what she does towards children of her choice. Now of all things she took Naruto. I am not entirely sure. I will have to talk with the toads again, yet they are frightened of Hachishaku-sama, and, as for the darkness I detected, I am not sure who it belongs to, but it seems this mysterious stranger. And Hachishaku-sama wanted Naruto for themselves for whatever reasons they have on their own agenda, Jiraiya said, going towards the window about to leave with his sensei, giving him a worried expression. Do what you must, Jiraiya, we must get Naruto back from Hachishaku-sama at all costs. Who knows what she's doing to him? He's been missing for 11 years. She wouldn't kill him due to the sealed inside of him, Hiruzen said with his cage voice. I'll do what I can, sensei, but it won't be easy. Taking someone from Hachishaku-sama that she likes is a bad sign. We need to find the monk who sealed her away. I'll get my informants to find info on where that monk is hiding. He is currently in exile after sealing away Hachishaku-sama, as he leaped out the window, leaving his sensei alone in thought. At Yuzu Naruto's bedroom. It was 8 a.m. in the morning. An 11-year-old Naruto Uzumaki who is currently in his bed sleeping while his pet Indoraptor Ripper wasn't in the bed. The black raptor of death was sleeping on the floor and had grown bigger and older. It was at least 10 feet tall. Over the years Ripper's bond with Naruto has grown bigger. The death raptor saw Naruto as his alpha and friend. The raptor in question has gotten much more intelligent and more crafty. The raptor has the ability to camouflage in the daytime, but when it's dark at night, he has no need to use his camouflage ability. Due to his dark appearance he is hard to see at night, and you could say undetectable at night. Ripper can open doors and windows, which surprised Itachi, Chloe, and Origa-shaku-sama. This raptor was smart as hell. It's a shame that there is no more of his kind. He is the only Indoraptor to exist, created by the two Dna types of its cousin and ancestor, the Indominus Rex and a Velociraptor, unless he could cloned so he could breed more of his species. Naruto opened his eyes looking left and right as he smiled. Now why was the boy in question smiling? Because it was his birthday. He is finally 12 years old, as he remembered what Origa-shaku-sama told him on a private night. Flashback with Naruto and Origa-shaku-sama. Naruto stared up at his future wife as he was alone in his bedroom with her, as she towered over him staring into his blue eyes as he looked at her amber eye and dark blue eye. Since you are to be our husband, Naruto, once you are 12 years of age you will sleep with both me and Chloe and will live in the room with us. Me and Chloe both will teach you how to be a man. She spoke, seeing him look at her, nodding slowly, slightly understanding what she was saying. Do you understand? Origa-shaku-sama said, still keeping her eyes and attention on him as he slowly nodded. Good, now that you know I'm a former queen and you're now technically a prince of Yuzushi Ogakure from your mother's side of the family since she was a princess. You will sit on the Yuzu throne with me as your queen and wife. Chloe is your wife too, remember. Together the three of us will revive your fallen clan and my dark elves. She said, as he could only stare at her with a calm, serious expression and determination that he would be a great ruler of Yuzu and father to all of his future children. Flashback end. Ripper the Indoraptor raised its head up, detecting his alpha awake and ready to get up. "Let's get ready, Ripper. Today's a big day for me," said Naruto with excitement as he got out of the bed to go take a shower and brush his teeth, while the black raptor of death could only form a smile on his jaws listening to his alpha. As he rose up, getting on two of his legs to walk. Normally Ripper would walk on all fours, but since he's a little lazy and not in hunting mode, he walks on two legs. But Hachishaku-sama, the 8-foot-tall fused dark elf, is currently at the kitchen baking a cake since today is Naruto's birthday. As she could only grin, she waited 11 years for this. Starting tonight was the time they mate and teach him how to be a man. Her yakai thrall Itachi Uchiha appeared and bowed to her as she made a hand gesture to tell him to rise. "Chloe-sama said you've requested my presence." "My lady," Itachi spoke, looking at his superior and mistress. "Yes, I have a mission for you," she answered while using her dark magic to put the ingredients into the bowl and cake mix. "What is your bidding, my lady?" he asked to see the cake mix in the bowl. "I want you to find the one named Tsunade Senju and bring her apprentice as well," she commanded without turning to look at him. "Find Tsunade-san?" he asked, seeing her nod. "Yes, she is part Uzumaki on her grandmother's side of the family, plus I require her medical skills and she is to join our kingdom," Origa-shaku-sama said while putting the cake in the oven. "And if she refuses?" "Because Tsunade-san is somewhat in mourning or in grief over the loss of her loved ones," stated Itachi, with Origa-shaku-sama finally turning to him with a frown. "Is that so? Well, in that case, if things get out of hand between you two, use your eyes on her. I want both her and her apprentice here to start a new life. Is that understood?" she said with a matter-of-fact tone as the raven-haired Uchiha nodded. "Now go, and do not fail me," she said, turning away as he transformed into his crow form and flew out the window that was opened. Now that the cake was in the oven, she set the timer as she began heading towards her private laboratory. Walking into her private lab where her alchemy tables and whatnot was at, before she left her world, she emptied out her old laboratory, taking everything she needed here in the new world she was in. "A penny for your thoughts, Origa?" Hachishaku-sama asked within her mind. "What are you talking about?" she said towards her fused party. "Miss your old home? Your old world?" she asked, waiting for her fused partner's response. "I will admit that I miss Iascha, but this new fate that I have walked paths on has shown me a new light," Origa-shaku-sama said, stirring up a potion. "Ever thought of returning?" Hachishaku-sama said, with Origa-shaku-sama staying silent for a moment. "I can't return to Iascha after faking my death," she said. "They would hardly recognize you though," Hachishaku-sama said. Origa-shaku-sama was about to reply, but Chloe stepped in her laboratory. "There you are," Origa-shaku-sama said. Chloe, who is now in her mid-20s and has grown as a strong woman with her appearance changed, wearing a grey tight bodysuit with fingerless gloves, wearing heels, having a dagger attachment on her side hip and a quiver full of arrows and her bow. She still has her witch blade attached to her right wrist. Her chest area still remains double D. Only thing that hasn't changed is her hairstyle. She kept it the same. Even Naruto liked her pretty blonde hair that made the half-human half-dark elf blush. Speaking of her relationship with Naruto, their relationship grew more during these next few years. Chloe was starting to come to terms with loving Naruto. She felt safe around him and could actually trust him. He wasn't like any other humans from her dark past and childhood. Naruto is the only human she'll ever accept. She'll loathe and hate other humans, but not Naruto. She loved the boy and he loved her. He loved her blonde hair, her ruby red eyes. He loved just about everything about her, and it just made her heart beam with happiness and excitement. After finally coming to terms of being the boy's wife, she made a vow to herself that she would be a great wife and future mother for Naruto. Origa-shaku-sama was proud that her faithful friend has finally come to terms of loving her future husband and that the dark past behind Chloe will be nothing but a memory after tonight once they both mate with Naruto. "Ah, Chloe-chan, how are you? What's Naruto doing?" the fused dark elf asked. "He's taking a shower, he's almost done. What are you up to, my lady?" Chloe asked, seeing what her former queen was stirring. "I'm making a potion for us to drink. It will make us highly fertile," she said, as she gently tilted the potion in her hand, seeing the dull blue liquid in the vial, as she started drinking some of it, as she stopped drinking and left enough for Chloe to drink. Chloe accepted the vial and drank some of the potion too. "The effects will kick in at sundown. Let us surprise the birthday boy," Origa-shaku-sama said, guiding Chloe back to the kitchen to set up his birthday cake and everything. "Where did you send Uchiha Itachi, mistress?" Chloe asked, noticing the man wasn't here. "I've sent him on a mission to retrieve Tsunade Senju, since we are in need of a doctor or midwife to help us with our birth," Origa-shaku-sama said. "But Itachi at the moment." flying freely in the skies in his crow form as he flew towards the outskirts of Fire Country, currently locating and searching for Tsunade Senju. As his eyes were the Sharingan looking from block to block in a small city, he knew she shouldn't be hard to find knowing Tsunade's reputation as the legendary sucker who always has a losing streak at casinos or is probably at a bar somewhere drinking sake since back when she was in. That was one of Tsunade's favorite things to do. All he had to do was look for her at any casino or bar. He couldn't fail his mistress, and at the same time dreaded at the possible punishment she would have in store for him if he failed her. Back at Yuzu, Naruto is currently going the Yuzu vault, getting every birthday present he wanted since all this legendary stuff was his and his alone. He had a fortune of money from the great Yuzu treasure. With so much money he could probably buy a village or something. As he looked around at the many items he was staring at, Ripper was besides him while Origa, Hachishaku-sama and Chloe were at the vault entrance waiting for him. He stared at a scroll and opened it as he began reading its information. The scroll of the Fox Predator. Years ago during the first Shinobi War, after our clan made a secret pact with mysterious beings that come from the stars, these mysterious beings were called the Predators. They came to our island to seek potential worthy opponents to test their strength. We accepted the challenge of the Predators and sent 6 of our greatest Uzumaki kin to challenge one of their strongest predator, and they were to survive in the forest for as long as they can. Unfortunately, we've lost 3 of our kin in this challenge, who were slain by the Predator, who were skinned alive. But nonetheless our kin out there put up a fight against the Predator. The challenge lasted for 24 hours and lost 2 more of our kin while 1 remained, and his name was Kai Uzumaki, who survived and endured the pain and loss of his comrades who were slain by the Predator. Kai has managed to defeat the Predator and has gained the Predator's utmost respect. Kai had been chosen to train under the arts of the Predator. Kai accepted, which made us of the Uzumaki clan to form a sacred pact with the Predators, and they would be our allies. They saw us as formidable opponents and great allies. About 5 years from now, Kai Uzumaki returned wearing the same gear and armor the Predators possessed. He even has a stock of their weapons, and he even created a summoning contract. This summoning contract contains black creatures of darkness. They were called Xenomorphs. Kai Uzumaki captured the queen and sealed her and her hive into a summoning scroll. Kai Uzumaki made himself a mask that looks like a fox with technology that was far advanced. Kai could make himself go invisible and undetected. He has one projectile-like weapon mounted on his shoulder that can blast a range of blue chakra from any distance, and has many other weapons that the Predators have, like a spear, wrist blades, and a shuriken they called Smart Disc. On his side lock gauntlets he has an explosive and net launcher. The explosive was made to wipe out anything to ensure nothing survives. Kai Uzumaki became one of the Guardian Yuzu 12. He was number 6, and his codename in the Anbu was the Fox Predator. After the second Shinobi War ended, Kai had retired his services as the Fox Predator. Growing in old age, he sealed all of his equipment and gear he owned in this scroll and put it the Yuzu vault so that his weapons or gear or even his summoning contract could never fall into the wrong hands of possible enemy shinobi. If you are Uzumaki and is skilled in sealing arts, touch the seal to unseal Kai Uzumaki's prized predator possessions, finished Naruto Uzumaki as he read the whole thing and bit his finger, stamping blood on the seal to unseal Kai Uzumaki's equipment of being the Fox Predator. The first thing he picked up was Kai's fox mask and put it on. After putting it on, he flinched and grasped his head as the mask gave him memories of being the Fox Predator and showed Naruto how to use every weapon. The mask gave Naruto Kai's knowledge of being the Fox Predator. As he removed the mask, looking at it, he put on one wrist gauntlet, placing it on his right wrist, and released the wrist blades from their secret compartment. The wrist blades were double and sharp enough to cut through steel. It made Naruto grin as he absorbed knowledge of wielding predator weapons. He couldn't wait to spar with Itachi-sensei. Then turned to the next thing that made him smile. He saw cool armor that was made of steel with spikes and a red cape. He looked down at the info for this armor. This armor belonged to Shredder Uzumaki, and then suddenly an idea formed in Naruto's head. Ripper was looking around, then looked down at his alpha. But the snap of his fingers, Naruto summoned some Shidokens, the shinobi type. He summoned 9. I command you guys to take this armor and Kai Uzumaki's predator equipment to my room later on, or tomorrow I'll get some work on it, he said, with the Shidokens doing as told. Before the Uzumaki could leave the vault, he turned to one more thing that caught his attention. The Uzumaki clan blade Raijin Jaku Muramasa, the legendary sword that was wielded by a great Uzumaki elder. This sword belonged to Uzumaki Yamamoto, the Shadai Yuzukage. Raijin Jaku Muramasa can manipulate great fire with such embers that it can reduce all creation to ash. Naruto touched the hilt of the sword as it pulsed with power, and it now chose Naruto as its new wielder and master. Only an Uzumaki can wield such a legendary weapon. With a smile, Naruto walked out of the vault, taking his sword with him. So many family members with such power and respect and great fortune. Yuzu dinner room. There sat at the table Naruto, Chloe, and Hachishaku-sama, who were smiling at the boy they raised together, going to mold him as their husband after having a feast. It was time for the birthday cake. Hachishaku-sama Shidokins walked into the royal dinner hall with a very large birthday cake as they sat it on the table with its candles already lit. Happy 12th birthday Naruto, Namikaze Uzumaki. Naruto could only smile and feel a tear roll down his eye, and that was the tear of joy he was getting. Being loved by two dark elf women who raised him all his life and did nothing but give him love and affection as he returned their love and affection with his own, he loved both women who are his surrogate mothers now evolved as his wives. After singing happy birthday, Naruto blew out the candles, making the two dark elves smile. Well, Naruto-kun, tell us what you wish for, asked Chloe, who was sitting beside his left with Origa-shaku-sama on the right. My wish is to restore my clan, avenge my fallen clan who were also betrayed by who left them to die at the hands of the other shinobi villages. I will take the Yuzu throne and become the new ruler with you two as my wives and restart my clan with you two, Origa-shaku-sama and Chloe-chan, he said with convention and promise that made their hearts melt. Ripper, who is in the room, also roared in approval of his alpha. The trio finished their slice of cake and began getting ready for the night. Yuzu Daimyo royal bedroom. Ripper was at Origa-shaku-sama's door guarding it while she, Chloe, and Naruto were inside a room. And lime. This room was actually the Yuzu Daimyo's royal bedroom. It was incredibly large with enough space. This was going to be Naruto's shared room with his two wives, as the young 12-year-old sitting on the bed with only his boxers on staring at Chloe and Origa-shaku-sama, who. Now Naruto-kun, tonight we will show you how to be a man, Origa-shaku-sama said. Origa-shaku-sama was currently heading down to her private chambers where she had sent her sumo-kan to guard and secure Tsunade and Shizune. Everything was beginning to work out perfectly with what she's doing. In a month or 2 months her signs of pregnancy will show. Now that she has Tsunade, all she needed to do was to persuade the Senju woman to join aside her and Naruto, and she had a plan to get Tsunade to successfully side with her, seeing she is family towards her husband, apparently the Senju clan. And Uzumakis are like cousins, meaning Naruto has a relative that's alive. She could convince Tsunade that her godson is alive. After Itachi, Naruto, and Chloe, Ripper included, be successful in their mission, Origa-shaku-sama plans on setting Naruto on the path to avenge his clan. Then she will find out about the East Monk's whereabouts and kill the old bastard, then continue to plan and scheme in the shadows of what Hachishaku-sama told her to set things in motion for the future of the elemental nations. She and Naruto, both with a revived race of a new generation of dark elves, with Uzumaki Namika's blood running in their veins, plus full-fledged yokais to rule all in the elemental nations. For some reason Origa-shaku-sama thought deeply on this subject of her and Chloe, as the only two dark elves here in this world. She realized her and Chloe wouldn't be able to revive their race with just them alone unless she could return to her old world and look for any possible female dark elves suitable to help revive their race. Since she has the power to convert people into becoming a yokai, which Hachishaku-sama gifted her this ability, she wondered, was it possible to convert any human female into a full-blooded dark elf? She would have to check her books and find a ritual on how to turn the human females into dark elves, that way her husband Naruto can impregnate more. It also brought her to her attention, since Itachi mentioned the clans in and their clan heiresses with possible bloodlines, she could give an extra gift to her new generation. Itachi is her first yokai thrall and first yokai general. He is truly the last true Uchiha member, and she wanted a new generation of Uchihas to work alongside of the new generation of dark elves. Once she gets Itachi settled by his birthright, he is officially Uchiha clan head. She's doing this to repay him for his undying loyalty to her and Naruto both. Now that she finally reached her chambers, she saw the two sumo-cons stand in attention at the side of her while Tsunade and Shizune were still asleep. Leave me, she commanded to her sumo-cons, who vanished in the shadows awaiting for their queen's command. Standing in front of the two women and Pig, she was going to use her spell to wake up the women so she could talk to them. Tsunade and Shizune cracked open their eyes, feeling a bit dizzy and lightheaded as their vision was a bit blurry but was returning to normal as they looked around, noticing they were not in their motel in Tenezuka City. Where are we, Tsunade-sama? Shizune asked her mentor, looking around, still not sure. I don't know where we are. The last thing I saw was the Sharingan and was caught in a, what the hell? She yelled, noticing she was bound by chakra suppressant chains that chained her to the floor. Her arms and legs were chained, same with Shizune. Where the hell are we? We can't be thrown in prison. Tsunade exclaimed as she tried to use her monster strength she was known for to break free from the chains, only to find no luck. I believe I can answer that, said Origa-shaku-sama, with Tsunade turning her full attention to her, seeing the 8-foot dark elf queen in the shadows. And who are you supposed to be? Said Tsunade, questioned Shizune, looking in her direction. I am Hachishaku-sama, former Dark Elf Queen of Ostia, and is a fusion, fusing with the Japan urban legend Hachishaku-sama, said Hachishaku-sama, looking at the two, as both women widened their eyes in shock at the mention of Hachishaku-sama. Tsunade could only look pale white like her former teammate Orochimaru when Hachishaku-sama had said she was a fusion of Japan's most feared urban legend Hachishaku-sama. Her great-grandma Mito Uzumaki had told her stories of Hachishaku-sama and what the 8-foot-tall woman did in her nature as she began to shudder looking at the Dark Elf fusion, and she could have swore she saw Hachishaku-sama's visage staring into her soul. "What do you want with us, Origa?" Hachishaku-sama stammered Shizune, who was also sweating in fear that her Uncle Dan had told her stories about Hachishaku-sama as well. "Are you going to kill us?" asked Tsunade, looking at the Dark Elf fusion with a lump in her throat. "No, of course not. Why would I kill my husband's relative when he needs to see you?" Hachishaku-sama replied, seeing the confused looks on both their faces. "What are you talking about? What relatives do you mean? I'm the last of my clan, and the Uzumakis are no more. The last one died in a village I hate to remember," said Tsunade, looking into the fusion's eyes. "You are indeed wrong, you do have a family that is left alive. Right now he is on a mission with his sensei," Hachishaku-sama said with Tsunade and Shizune having exchanged glances, then turned their attention back on her. "I don't know what you're talking about. Who is this relative of mine?" questioned Tsunade, as all the color drained from her face when she saw Hachishaku-sama hold up a picture of her, Chloe, and Naruto at an amusement park. Tsunade stared hard at the picture as her eyes widened. "No, it can't be possible. That can't be my godson. He's supposed to be dead," Tsunade exclaimed with shock. "That is your godson. I'm the one that's raising him, and my dear friend Chloe. I found him when he was a baby left by his dead parents," Hachishaku-sama said as she began explaining everything to Tsunade. "So that's my godson, Naruto-kun. He looks just like Kushina with those eyes and has Minato's blonde hair," she said softly with some tears flowing in her eyes. Happy and relieved that her godson wasn't dead after all these years. "When will I see him?" Tsunade asked. "You will see him when he returns from his mission with his sensei and other wife Hachishaku-sama," with both Tsunade and Shizune having expressions of that of a gaping fish at what she said. "Wait a minute. Since when has my godson been married?" yelled Tsunade in complete shock. "He was married yesterday on his birthday. I am also his wife, since me and my friend Chloe are helping him restore the Uzumaki clan right now. Me and Chloe are carrying his new generation as we speak," Hachishaku-sama said again with both Shizune and Tsunade looking at her in shock. "No. Don't tell me you had sex with an underage 12-year-old boy. On his birthday. What gives you the right to do that? How dare you defile my godson and take his virginity? At such a young age," growled Tsunade, wishing she was out of these chains, and beat the brakes off Hachishaku-sama. "You will see why I did it and you will come to understand why, but for now let's talk business," the Dark Elf fusion said, seeing Tsunade fuming at her while Shizune had a flabbergasted look. "What are you getting at?" Tsunade said, still glaring at the Dark Elf fusion, upset that she had the nerve to take her godson's virginity when he should have been at a proper mature age. "You know Naruto-kun is heir to the Uzumaki throne, right?" Hachishaku-sama questioned as Shizune and Tsunade's minds blew. Did they hear her right? I forgot Kushina-chan was Yuzu's princess before she was sent to and after the destruction of her clan, so that really makes Naruto a prince," Tsunade said, putting two and two together with Hachishaku-sama nodding. "He's a king since you're a former queen," Tsunade said softly as she began to put the pieces together. "That's right, I'm his queen and he is my king, and you require your services to our new future kingdom," Hachishaku-sama spoke with Tsunade raising a brow as Shizune looked between the two talking. "What's the catch?" Tsunade frowned. "Join us and cut ties with Naruto-kun would love to have his godmother in his kingdom running a new medical program since the council declined your medical program," Hachishaku-sama said with Tsunade looking shocked. "How do you know I tried to form a medical program and what makes you think I'll join you? I'd rather take Naruto-kun with me and Shizune," she said defiantly, making the fused Dark Elf Yakai chuckle. "I have obtained Kushina's memories and heard of you trying to form that program since Kono had denied it, and there's no way that I'd let you and your student walk out of Yuzu with Naruto-kun because I'd have to kill the both of you if you make that attempt, and as for having you join us, I think your mind will be changed after I do this." Hachishaku-sama directed her right palm at Tsunade as a light purple glow emitted as she released it upon Tsunade. "Tsunade-sama!" screamed Shizune in fear for her sensei as her pig taunton squealed for her mistress. The purple light hit Tsunade dead on as her body and form had changed, even to hide her real appearance had shattered as she was transformed. Shizune's eyes were wide as saucers at her mentor's transformation. "What did you do to me?" Tsunade questioned in shock. She feels so much younger and stronger. She no longer has her on her as she looked up at the dark elf fusion who smiled. Let's just say I have given you a gift and have restored you to your natural prime and strength, replied Hachishaku-sama as she brought in a flower pot with dirt, putting it near the shell, shocked Senju who looked at her restored body. No way. She restored my age. I feel like I'm in my younger 20s. And that's not all she's done. She's increased my chakra reserves to a higher extent, thought Tsunade as she glanced at the flower pot and touched the dirt while channeling chakra into the dirt as she could see a small bonsai tree grow out the dirt with its blooming sakura flowers. Wood style. I have wood style. I have my great-grandfather's bloodline. She looked shocked once again, looking up at Hachishaku-sama in a new light. Shizune could only look in complete awe and admiration. Her sensei now had wood style just like her great-grandfather. I am eternally grateful for this. I can't thank you enough. You have convinced me, Tsunade said very happily. You are very much welcome. I trust you two are hungry. Let's go, we have more to discuss, Origa-shaku-sama said as she summoned her Shodokan shinobi to unchain her guests as she led them to the Yuzu kitchen. Wave Country. One day later. Naruto, Ripper, Chloe and Itachi had docked off their boat and were now in Wave Country as they looked around in awe as Itachi had told them what their objective was, and that was to recruit possible followers to join them and possible servants. Right now their base of operations was an abandoned motel, setting up camp as they circled together with Ripper looking at them but keep his attention on his alpha Naruto since he is very obedient to Naruto. It seems as if the people of the wave are unhappy, just like you stated, Itachi-sensei spoke Naruto through his mask with Chloe beside him. Yes, they fear this tyrant named it is our job to find out what his aim is here. Well, we are looking for possible recruits. I will scout around and see if I can find any of Gato's whereabouts, Itachi said, seeing the two nod. And what about us? Asked Chloe, staring at the Uchiha with a slight frown. I suppose you two could go around the village to find extra information as well, because it seems Gato has thugs here in this village. Find every thug that works for, interrogate them first, then kill them, Itachi replied, seeing the two nod as he grabbed his Tengu mask, putting it on, then turned into his crow form and flew out a broken window, leaving Chloe and Naruto alone with Ripper. Well, you heard sensei, Chloe-chan, let's go find some thugs, maybe that way the villagers could see us as heroes if we are to help them and make them our ally, Naruto said through his mask as she blushed before nodding and followed him to the door. Ripper was going with them as well, but he went invisible using his camouflage, making him impossible to see. But Itachi, flying in his crow form with his Sharingan gleaming to life, he eyed the entire village with his eyes as he flew into the forest. It was then his eyes caught something. He saw a masked figure wearing a hunter mask carrying a body and a very large sword as he followed the pair. The masked hunter nin from who is carrying a body wasn't toward it. She was being followed by a crow in the sky with Sharingan eyes. As they made it to their destination, it looked to be an abandoned warehouse as Itachi flew near a cracked window and leaned in, watching on what was going on. Itachi eyed the figure who was injured. It turns out that it's the member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, Zabuza Mamichi, and that this masked hunter nin is his accomplice. He eyed the two, seeing the hunter nin tend to Zabuza's wounds. He wondered, was it possible to recruit these two, and would his mistress approve of them? So you failed in killing the bridge builder? Said a short businessman holding a cane and wearing glasses. He was being flanked by wave daimyo samurai who now work for him. The man wasn't alone, he had help. He had Konoha shinobi as escorts, Kakashi Haddock of the Sharingan, and 3 of his genin brats, answered Zabuza, who groaned in annoyance at the businessman. And to think I was paying you, you can't even do the job right, yelled the businessman only when Zabuza got up, raising his sword near the short businessman's neck. You better pay us, as promised. Once I am recovered I will kill the bridge builder Tazuna along with his escorts. Understand, Gato? Said Zabuza in a dangerous voice as the wave samurai were about to intervene, only for the masked hunter nin to get in their way, putting their swords towards their necks. Step away from Zabuza-sama, the masked hunter nin said in an angelic feminine voice. Enough, Haku. Start tending to my wounds. Rest assured in the next few days I'll kill your bridge builder. Now fuck off, Gato, said Zabuza as the man huffed and scowled, turning away with his samurai escorts following him. Itachi in his crow form had heard the whole conversation as he flew off, now following Gato. With Naruto, Chloe, and Ripper. Naruto, who was flanked by Chloe, who drew out her ebony bow and ebony arrow, with Ripper, who is still camouflaged, staying behind them, walking down the streets of Wave Village, seeing the poor and unhappy villagers, hoping for a new light to come and save them from Gato. Chloe spotted something as she scowled. What's wrong, Chloe-chan? He asked through his predator fox mask as she pointed at what she was seeing. As he scowled as well, he saw a gang of men circle around a middle-aged woman. It looked like they were going to rape her. Let go of me. Stop, said a brunette female villager as she was held against her will against 3 thugs. Hold still, bitch. And let us have a go at you. I'm sure our boss won't mind us being late," said a thug over his 30s as he ripped her shirt revealing her bra. The woman could only shed tears before he could pull down her dress. His head had been blown off by a blue blast of chakra, shocking her and the other two thugs. She turned to the direction where it came from and saw Naruto with his plasma canister smoking as he let out an inhuman growl at the thugs as they pissed their pants. One of them were about to run, only to have his stomach cut open wide with his intestines falling out as Ripper uncamouflaged himself, as the thug could only look in horror as Ripper bit his head off, successful killing him. The last thug backed into a wall, truly terrified as Chloe aimed her bow and arrow at him, daring him to make a move. "Take him," growled Naruto as his shinobi Shodokan appeared and grabbed the terrified thug, dragging him in the shadows never to be seen so they could interrogate him. "Let's go and interrogate him, then wait for Itachi-sensei," Naruto said with Chloe nodding and repairing, understanding his alpha. He wanted more blood and prey on the fears of these thugs for his alpha. Before Naruto could turn away, he heard the brunette woman call to him. "Wait. Who are you strangers? I am eternally grateful for you saving me." She wanted to know who this masked young hero was who saved her. "I am Uzumaki Shredder, that is all you need to know," Naruto answered behind his mask as he used his cloaking device to disappear and follow Chloe and Ripper heading back to their base of operations, leaving the stunned woman behind who knew her savior's name, Uzumaki Shredder. Naruto did an inhuman growl through his fox predator mask as the feared thug was pissing himself in fear as he was tied to a chair being surrounded by Naruto, Chloe, and Ripper, who couldn't wait to sink his jaws of death on the thug. Please don't hurt me. I was only," the thug stammered, but flinched when Naruto came up to him, pointing his wrist blades at the thug's throat, who held a lump in his throat, sweating in fear. "Shut up. You will listen to us carefully. You will tell us where every thug that works under Geto is. You will reveal their possible locations and hideouts to us," said Naruto through his mask, scowling at the thug who looked much more frightened. The thug gulped, looking at Naruto as he shivered, looking at Ripper, who could only smile, enjoying the thug's fear, and he loved how his alpha was intimidating his prey. Chloe flipped her dagger, waiting to torture the thug as well. He could feel a lump in his throat. "Oh, okay. I'll tell you. Just please don't kill me." The thug stammered, fearfully afraid of what was going to happen as he began spilling out everything he knew. "But Itachi. Currently at Gato's home base that looks to be heavily guarded with thugs, and from the looks of it, he also has samurai working for him. Does this mean Wave's daimyo was killed by Gato? And his samurai now work for him? I guess he needed to investigate it." In the trees in his crow form, he noticed a few carriages coming and gazed into them with his Sharingan, and he could see that the carriages were holding cages as he narrowed his eyes at what he was seeing. It seems that Gato has slaves. He flew down as he noticed a few thugs and samurai were having a slight conversation, so he decided to ease the drop. "What's with the cages and people?" said a thug with the rank of lieutenant as a veteran samurai answered. "Gato-sama is hosting a slave auction at midnight. It seems we will be having some fun with some ladies," said the samurai with a dark grin. "Yeah, he did say he would reward us for helping him overthrow our daimyo. It's our job to guard the slaves," said another samurai with a smug smile. Itachi within his crow form could only look enraged and disgusted at what he was hearing. Flying away, he decided it was time to contact his mistress to report to her, then return to Naruto, Chloe, and Ripper. Flying in the forest, he reverted from his crow form and bowed near a pond, looking into it as he poured a little of his yokai chakra into the pond to contact her. The pond materialized, showing Hachishaku-sama's visage. "Report Itachi," she spoke, looking down at her general. "Hachishaku-sama, it seems that Gato wishes to take Wave for himself, and he has hired a missing ninja Uzumamichi to go after Wave's bridge builders who are under the protection of Konoha shinobi," reported Itachi, waiting for his mistress's response and reaction. She frowned, looking down at the Uchiha as she started thinking what to say. One thing for sure, she wasn't going to let that slob try to take a Wave. She paused, waiting for him to continue. "Wave's daimyo has been killed as well, and Gato is having a slave auction at midnight. What are your commands?" he asked, looking at his mistress. "Raid the slave auction, free any slaves you can, and hide them," she spoke with calmness in her voice. "And Gato?" Itachi replied, seeing her scowl. "Kill him, and all of his thugs," she spoke with coldness. "And Uzumamichi and his accomplice? What to do with them? Along with the shinobi?" Itachi asked as he began explaining to her about Uzumamichi and that he was a member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist and could be a great yokai general within her ranks. She seemed to consider this and nodded. "Persuade him and his accomplice to join us, and, as for the shinobi, spare them, but if they get in the way, kill them," she said, staring at him. Itachi stiffened at her command. His little brother was on the team and he couldn't bring himself to kill his only living younger brother. Very well, I'll report back to Naruto, he said, as her visage disappeared in the pond, as he flew off turning into his crow form. Meanwhile in Iastia, Celestine was in her holy hall praying. She and Kagaya had told the rest of the princess knights of the prophecy and fate of Iastia. Half of them didn't want to believe that Origa Discordia could actually fake her death and forsaken her own kingdom. It's been 12 years since Origa's supposed fake death. Now the tyrant Volt and his black dog mercenaries has taken up residence in Origa's dark fortress and the northern part of Iastia, as their numbers and armies grew with having remnants of Organ's monsters that used to serve under her. Many monsters had sided with Volt, which consisted of orcs, goblins, imps, trolls, orges, and many other disturbing monsters that were once under the control of Origa. They were now at war against the man she, secretly, hired to take down Origa. The High Elf Goddess had contacted other allies to help her put a stop to Volt and his growing army. She was to be having an audience with the anti-demon, Kunoichi's Asagi, Sakura, and Murasaki. Celestine was worried and wished she could return to the realm of the Almighty to speak with the gods about Iastia's fate and that Origa Discordia is the cause of the prophecy. Another thing, what Kagaya meant by Origa Discordia has changed into something very evil, and it has something to do with the 8-foot visage of a woman that shrouds around Origa. She needed to do something. She wasn't sure when the prophecy was going to occur, but for some reason she had a feeling it was coming. It was coming very soon since 12 years has already happened and still nothing has changed. At Volt's dark fortress, sitting on Origa's old throne since he is now proclaimed as king of this fortress, the leader of the Black Dogs now had big plans. Soon he, his men, and the many monsters that were once under Discordia has sided with him since he promised them more women to have sex with. He was still disappointed and angry that he still could not find Origa Discordia or her faithful servant Chloe. It's been 12 years and still no sign of them. He was sure they would turn up, he just needed to wait. Right now he could focus on Celestine and the Princess Knights. Frowning and sighing, one of his men came forward to him. Volt-sama, you have a visitor, his name is Kuryu, spoke the Black Dog member. Let him in, Volt answered with a scowl. He wondered what did that pompous ass of a scientist want now. A moment later there was a man wearing glasses and wearing a white lab coat, showing he was indeed a scientist, as he stared at Volt on the throne with a frown on his face. Comfortable in that throne? Kuryu said sarcastically at Volt. What do you want? Volt demanded, glaring at the scientist. Oh, I've come to remind you of your mission. Was it not that you were supposed to invade Astia and all of its women? Questioned Kiryu with Volt scoffing. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to start the invasion soon this week. I'm going after each princess knight one at a time and save Celestine for last, spoke Volt, with Kiryu pushing up his glasses. Any luck finding Origa Discordia? Kiryu asked, glaring at the man who glared back. No, but I have my spies out there looking for her and to keep watch if she does turn up, Volt answered. I see, Kuryu said with irritation. He was livid that Origa Discordia and her servant Chloe had escaped and slipped away from Volt. At least Kyle will promise some dark elves since you failed, said Kuryu, causing Volt to growl. Piss off, I will find them. I'm not letting some punk outclass me, spoke Volt angrily. Mind your attitude, Volt, you know it's not wise to talk to your leader like that, countered Kuryu, causing the mercenary to grumble. I will take my leave then. I expect you to conquer Iastia this week or at least a month. Do not disappoint me, Kiryu said, walking away, leaving the throne room. Asshole, the nerve of him. I'll show him, thought Volt. Pix. Kin. He called out his right-hand men who came before him. Yes, Volt-sama. They both asked. Pix, assemble the men. I have an announcement for them. We will make our move on the neighboring kingdom south of Kin. Informs our spies within the ranks of the Princess Knights to be prepared. He commanded, with them nodding and walking off to do as he told. Back with Naruto. Now that they interrogated the thug, Chloe slit his throat with her Dedrick dagger, letting him fall as Naruto motioned for Ripper to the dead thug. What are we to do now, Naruto-kun, since he's given us all of the locations of where all of Gato's lackeys are? Chloe asked, staring at her husband. We wait for Itachi-sensei to return first, then we go out at nightfall killing them. If we manage to kill every gang and thugs around the village of Wave, that should lower half of Gato's so-called army of thugs, replied Naruto, who is playing with his smart disc while sheathing his spear on his back as he inspected his right wrist blade as he made the blade retract in its sheath. Looking over to Chloe, behind his shredder helmet fox predator mask, he smiled at how beautiful she is, blonde hair, red ruby eyes, delicate dark skin, along with her womanly curves and developed E-cups. Pulling the tubes from his mask and putting both hands on his mask, removing it from his face to show his handsome face to her, while removing his shredder helmet showing off his blonde hair. Chloe could only blush at him as she looked away shyly. She could never forget how handsome he is. But when he wears that mask and helmet to her, it makes him more intimidating, powerful, strong, and commanding. She could tell he was a natural-born king, ready to conquer all who would oppose him. He walked towards her and put his arms around her waist, holding her as she blushed, looking at his ocean blue eyes while he met her ruby red ones. Caressing her face made her feel safe and relaxing around him as they looked softly at each other, leaning against each other, planting a kiss. Chloe smiled, looking at Naruto, who also smiled back, looking at her with affection. "Am I interrupting?" said an amused voice, causing them both to snap their heads towards the direction of the voice, and they happened to see Uchiha Itachi standing there. "Sensei, how long were you standing there?" said a shocked Naruto, with Chloe frowning at the man who ruined the moment. "Never let your guard down. I have been standing here for at least 30 seconds watching my student kiss his wife," spoke Itachi, with Naruto looking embarrassed. "I've returned with some information. I see that one of you interrogated one of Gato's thugs, yes?" asked Itachi, seeing Ripper the Indoraptor eating the dead thug, with both Chloe and Naruto nodding. "Yes, Gato has thugs everywhere around the village in groups. Most of them are lieutenants who lead the group, making sure they instill fear into the villagers," spoke Naruto, with Chloe nodding. "Good, this could prove well to our advantage. I hear Gato is hosting a slave auction at midnight. It's at a warehouse heavily guarded by lots of his thugs and samurai. Origa Shaku-sama has instructed us to rescue the slaves and bring them to our ship that is on the docks. After that we kill Gato and recruit Zabuza Mamichi and his masked accomplice to join us. Side note is that we have Konoha Shinobi here watching over the bridge builder," Tsunade stated Itachi, with Naruto frowning. "Will Shinobi suspect that we're here stealing their mission?" Naruto asked, looking at his sensei. "I believe they will. 3 genins under Kakashi Haddock. It won't take them long to figure us out," Itachi spoke, frowning lightly. "At nightfall we begin purging out all of Gato's thugs within the village, then we go to the slave auction," spoke Itachi, with Chloe and Naruto nodding. Wave Village nightfall. Currently in the bushes were Naruto, Chloe, Itachi, and Ripper staring at the poor village. Behind them were a handful of Shidokins, the Ninjakin, Samuraikin, Resorkin. But the single hand motion from Itachi, Ripper growled softly. He was getting real excited for the urge to kill for his alpha. Naruto turned on his cloak device and vanished. Chloe drew out her bow and ebony arrows. The shadow cons faded in darkness. Itachi turned into his crow form and flew to the location of Gato's slave auction. In a bar. The place was filled with Gato's thugs who had taken over the place, getting drunk and whatnot. At the doorknob was turning as the door was slowly pushed, showing a clawed hand. One drunk thug noticed this and his eyes widened at what he was seeing. Ripper had opened the door and lunged at the drunk thug, mauling him as he screamed, alerting other thugs that were there. Many were going after Ripper with their knives, swords, and other weapons, but out of nowhere tentacles wrapped around their throats, strangling them. The source was the Squidkin. Ripper lunged and clawed just about every thug he could get close to. As he pounced on one thug that screamed at the sight of him and bit into him, the Sumokon appeared and bashed the skulls and broke some bodies. Blood was everywhere, thugs screaming in horror and fear as Ripper was just standing tall on a table, roaring as the Squidkin, Sumokin, and Ripper himself continued the massacre. Elsewhere at some alleyways, samurai cons and ninjakins attacked some thugs as well, with Chloe shooting her bow and arrows, killing all thugs in sight. Her witch blade on her right wrist pulsed with power as the red gemstone on it glowed in delight. Before she could draw another arrow, she glanced her eyes towards her witch blade as if it was telling her to awaken its power. She yelped when her right wrist suddenly transformed into a gauntlet as her red ruby eyes had changed into a golden color with 2 tattoo streaks of gray running down her cheeks. Her hair, natural blonde hair, was strawberry blonde as she screamed in pleasure, transforming her body with armor that was colored dark steel and chrome as some of it revealed her chest area and ass. Her dark skin remained. She breathed for a bit, looking at the remaining thugs with lust for their deaths as she extended a long blade from her right wrist. "Time to slaughter you pigs," said Chloe in a now different voice that was alluring with coldness. She charged at them, going to kill them. Slashing them with her long blade, she enjoyed their screams as she licked her lips seductively. She whipped out 6 red tendrils, ripping, strangling, and impaling the thugs. She giggled seductively, seeing all the bloodlust she caused here as she walked off to find her Naruto-kun. Naruto, who was in cloaked mode, is in hunting mode after some thugs as he managed to kill someone without being seen as he stopped at what caught his attention. It was a little boy who was held back by 4 thugs while another group of thugs were stripping the boy's mother of her clothing. "No. Leave my mother alone," cried the young boy, struggling, trying to get to his mother. "Shut up, you little shit. Watch as we give your mother a bastard sibling for you to see," said a samurai, as the little boy could only look in tears at what they were going to do to his mother, and they were going to force him to see her getting raped. "Everything is going to be okay, Inari, just stay strong. Like your father would want us to be, said his mother, whose name is Tsunami, as she was half naked holding back some tears hoping someone would come and save her and her son. Why didn't any of those shinobi bother to escort her? Before the thugs could force her panties off, none of them failed to notice 3 red dots aiming at one thug's midsection as a blue blast of chakra hit him, killing him, much to the shock of the other thugs, along with Tsunami and Inari. Naruto deactivated his cloaking device, allowing himself to be seen as he extended his right double-bladed wrist claw, letting out a terrifying growl at the terror-stricken thugs and samurai. In a quick blur he lunged at them as he slaughtered them with his wrist blade. They screamed as blood splattered. Hose plasma canister fired in point-blank range, blowing a hole in the samurai's gut. While this was going on, Inari clung to Tsunami in fear and buried his face in her chest, unable to watch, as she herself could only watch in fear at what was happening. She was sweating watching this masked stranger kill all of Gedo's ruthless thugs and samurai. The last thug tried to attack Naruto from behind as Tsunami screamed, "Look out!" she yelled, seeing him turn around and impale the last thug with his spear. Turning towards the two, he spoke. "Are you alright?" he asked behind his mask using his deep voice as the two nodded. He threw his smart disc at a laundry line as a navy blue gown fell down that was caught in Naruto's hands as he threw it to Tsunami. "Put that on to cover yourself," he spoke, seeing her nod, doing what he said as Inari had the courage to look up at his savior. "Who are you? You saved me and my mother. Are you a hero going to save us from Gedo?" the young boy asked with hope, looking at Naruto. "I am Uzumaki Shredder, and yes, dear boy, I am here to make you suffer for his crimes. Make no mistake, this village will be free," answered Naruto, as before they could ask him again he cloaked and walked away, leaving them alone. "Let's go home and tell your grandpa," said Tsunami, who couldn't believe that there was now finally hope for their country, and it was in the fate of Uzumaki Shredder. But Itachi was currently at the warehouse where the slave auction was being hosted at, as he placed on himself to disguise. As a wealthy man, all he needed to do was to go in and see what kind of slaves Gedo was holding. He made a spare clone to give Naruto and Chloe the signal to his location and to meet him there to confront once and for all. There sat Itachi Uchiha in his disguise, sitting with every wealthy buyer willing to buy slaves. As he looked around to see where Gedo was, he could see the place also had samurai thugs around as guards. As he looked around, narrowing his eyes, as he heard whispering and slow talking in all of the crowds. "May I have your attention, please?" said a voice as everyone turned and saw average tall man on the stand. He was wearing a suit holding a cane. "I know many of you expected me to come and host the slave auction, but there has been a slight change in plans. He has left me in charge of the auction. He has other important matters right now. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mr. Flick. I am Gedo-sama's assistant," introduced Flick, with Itachi in the crowd frowning. "It seems there has been a setback. Gedo's not here. I'll send my clones to inform Naruto-san and Chloe-san," thought Itachi, glaring at the man on the stage. "Now that I have introduced myself to you all, let's see who wants some slaves." Mr. Flick said that all of the buyers except Itachi cheered and waited. "Bring me the first slave, please," the host said, with 2 samurai thugs bringing in the first slave from her cage. "Let me go. I don't belong to anyone," a girl with mint green hair and orange eyes shouted. She was dark-skinned with her clothes in tatters. She has a choker around her neck and chakra cuffs. "May I present to you this lovely girl who is from a minor village called Taki. She goes by Fu, and she is also a Jinchuriki," Mr. Flick announced, with everyone looking at her in awe, while many men leered at her with hungry looks. Itachi widened his eyes at this. Taki sold their own Jinchuriki? For what? As he continued to watch. "Anybody want this Jinchuriki? She hosts the Nanabi-tailed beast within her. Anyone want to buy her?" he asked, looking at the many buyers. "I'll buy her for 50 million Ryo," said a monotonous voice, as all eyes turned to Itachi, who gave them a stoic expression that would have made his father proud. "And you are?" asked Mr. Flick, looking at Itachi. "Fugaku-chan is my name," said Itachi, using his father's name while at the same time holding a large bag of money, since before he left, he had drained half of the Uchiha funds from the Konoha bank before he massacred them. "Well, very well, she's all yours, Mr. Chang," he said, with Fu staring at Fugaku with a glare as she could sense Shimei within her mindscape tense slightly. "What's wrong with Shimei?" she asked within her mindscape. "There is something off with that man. I sense Yokai chakra within him. Be careful, larvae, he's not normal," warned Shimei, the seven-tails beetle. Fu had frowned as she stared at Fugaku, wondering what her biju meant. "Now next up is another Jinchuriki. And she's from Kumo. She bears the Nibi within her," announced Flick, as the next thugs brought in a blonde-haired woman with black eyes and her shinobi attire in tatters, with a choker around her neck and chakra restraints on her arms. "Her name is Yujido Nai. She ran away from Kumo from what we heard, and we managed to bag her if any buyer wants her." Flick asked, as one buyer was about to respond until Itachi cut in. 60 million ryo on Yujido Nai, spoke Fugaku-chan, as all eyes turned to him, as the buyers could only glare at him. Didn't I sense Yokai chakra within that man? Something's not right, warned Mitabi. Yujido glanced at Fugaku with slight disdain and watched him closely. Hey. I came here to buy slaves. And you're just taking them all. Yelled a man who looked to be in his 30s walking up to Fugaku, going to slug him only for the man to trip when Fugaku sidestepped. I don't even have that many slaves, I only have 2, I think this auction is over, Fugaku said, saying Kai, as his disguise revealed him, as Itachi Uchiha, as every buyer had paled at the famed Uchiha Slayer. I knew there was something off with him. He's a yokai. And has the scent of Uchiha blood. Nibi had said with Yujido looking shocked, though she wasn't the only one, Fu was in complete shock as well. Mr. Flick pressed the alarm button alerting all guards. Itachi snapped his fingers summoning ninjakins, samurai-kins, Rizorkins, as they attacked and killed all thugs, as Itachi teleported near Flick who looked shocked as Itachi pulled out a kunai and pinned the man against the wall with a kunai to the throat. Please don't kill me. Flick pleaded with Itachi scowling as his Sharingan gleamed. Where is it? And you will tell me or else, Itachi said coldly, pressing the kunai against the man's throat who was shaking in fear. I don't know. I swear. He told me to take over for him at the slave auction. He said he had some important matters to handle. Shouted Flick who was sweating heavily. Before Itachi could respond he turned around when the doors were kicked open by Uzumaki Shredder with Ripper flanking him. The wall got cut in a circle as Chloe entered in her witchblade form as she breathed as she eyed her husband with lust. Itachi and Uzumaki Shredder looked baffled at Chloe's transformation. Giggling seductively she stared at her husband battering her eyelashes innocently. Like what you see. She teased trying to look innocent. Behind his mask Naruto blushed a shade of red looking at her. Now is not the time to act like this, Chloe-chan, we have a mission to complete, said Uzumaki Shredder as Chloe in turn pouted looking away with a huff. So what do we have here, sensei? Shredder asked, looking at his sensei pinning down Flick. There's been a setback, Gato isn't here, however his assistant took his place, and Itachi responded. Me and Ripper killed all the other thugs and guards that were securing the areas around the auction, Shredder said, turning towards all of the buyers who were surrounded by Sumikins. What are we to do with them? Asked Chloe in seriousness, glaring at the buyers with hatred. It's simple, Ripper sick em. Shredder commanded as Ripper flashed that vicious smile again and lunged at the remaining buyers who screamed as they were being mauled by the Indoraptor. Mr. Flick could only flinch in horror, seeing the brutality the Indoraptor was doing towards his buyers who pleaded for mercy and screamed as flesh was ripped and blood splattered. Now where were we, Mr. Flick? Ah yes, you're going to cooperate with us and you're going to help us free any slaves that scum Gato has, failure to comply and you die, Itachi said with Flick nodding. Show us where the other slaves, Itachi demanded as Flick could only flinch seeing Itachi let him go as the timid man guided them where the slaves were being held at. Ripper stayed behind just so he could keep watch in case any more guards came and he would wait and kill them. Yujido and Fu flinched looking at Ripper who eyed them as they stood still and stayed quiet. Slave storage room. Flick indeed showed Shredder, Itachi and Chloe the slave storage room as the place had lots of people and creatures as Flick turned to them. Well, here you are, this is where all of the slaves are being kept, he said, showing them that the slaves were in cages. Good, you've proved your usefulness, Itachi said after shoving a kunai through Flick's throat killing the man who choked on his own blood. The slaves who saw this looked on in shock at what they've seen as they looked in hope at these three. He's no longer needed, let's release the slaves, Naruto, Itachi said as both him and Naruto did their shadow clone, summoning a copy of 110 clones and grabbed all of the keys. Listen up all of you slaves, we mean you no harm, we've come to rescue you and we will be taking you with us to your new destined home for freedom, said Shredder as all the slaves looked at him in a new light, holding a key as he went to the first cage and unlocked it, freeing a tall tanned raven-haired woman with blue eyes. Thanks Shredder-san, said the woman who looked at him with admiration and affection. You're welcome, and who might you be? He asked, breaking the cuffs off her hands. Naiko Robin, answered the dark-haired beauty as she felt relieved and felt her power come back to her. Well, Robin-san goes over to Chloe and stands by her as we free other slaves, said Shredder as she nodded doing what she was told. For an hour and a half every slave had been freed from their cages while the animals and endangered species were still in their cages as the Sumikins were carrying every cage that contained some animals. The slaves had some time gathering some of their things and items as they now followed their saviors. Let's take them to the ship and explain things there to them, Itachi said with Chloe and Shredder nodding. Gato's boat. What did you say? Demanded Gato who looked extremely pissed off staring at one of his lieutenant thugs. The slave auction had been raided and everyone had been killed, even the buyers, replied the lieutenant. The short businessman could only sink in his chair with a look of utter disbelief on his face. All his slaves were stolen and freed, then all of his thugs and goons were killed there too, including his assistant and his buyers. Just what the hell happened? Another thug had barged in. Beto-sama. Every thug and samurai have been killed in all of our territories in Wave Village. They've been slaughtered, cried another thug. Beto even looked more shocked that nearly half of his own men had been killed. Who is responsible for this? Could it be those shinobis Abusa warned me about? He is truly upset. It wasn't them, sir. The attacker who is responsible for this is named Uzumaki Shredder, replied one thug. Shredder? He's the troublemaker. Just what is he playing at? That does it. I'll take Wave Country. Once Abusa kills those shinobi, I'll get him to kill this Uzumaki Shredder as well. No one raids my slave auction and kills all of my thugs and gets away with it, Gato yelled. The red-haired galleon. Now on their ship that once belonged to red-haired Shanks Uzumaki, the gathered slaves were all on the ship as the Sumikans were putting the cages in the cargo hold. What are we going to do with them? We can't keep them on the ship this long, asked Chloe, who reverted from her witchblade form. You're right, we should take them to Yuzu, Itachi said. I've got a better idea. Me, Chloe, and Ripper will stay here in Waves while you drop off the slaves to Yuzu, Naruto stated as Itachi frowned, looking at his student. Are you sure? He asked, seeing his student nod. Don't worry, me and Chloe will be fine, plus Ripper will be here with us, Naruto said with the Indoraptor nodding. Very well, I'll take the freed slaves back to Yuzu and report to Hachishaku-sama, then once that's done I'll come straight back to pick you all up. Try not to get hurt or blow your cover, Naruto. I'm leaving you now to finish my mission in saving Wave, said Itachi as Naruto and Chloe both nodded. I promise nothing won't happen to us. See you later, Itachi-sensei, Naruto said, putting back on his mask as he, Chloe, and Ripper got off the ship as the boat departed, heading back to Yuzu, leaving the three on the docks. Well, Chloe-chan, it's just us, Shredder said behind his mask as she nodded and held his hand. They walked off to go find another hideaway and laid low with Ripper following them. In the Yuzu study area, the 8-foot Dark Elf Queen Fusion is going through her books and scrolls, researching information on a Dark Elf ritual by converting human females of her choice into pure-blooded Dark Elves and not just half-human like Chloe. She needed the right tools and ingredients to perform the ritual. Frowning as she grabbed another book and kept searching for her answer on how to do the ritual of converting humans into Dark Elves. She hummed, reading her book, reading from sentence to sentence as she stopped at one thing that caught her interest. Has she found what she was looking for? She found the ingredients for the ritual. She needs a cauldron, which she already has. Pure blood of a Dark Elf. She would have to use her blood since she's pure-blooded. Bone of a Dark Elf. And last but not least, a black soul gem that contains the soul of a Dark Elf. It seems she is missing two things. She would have to make a trip back to her old world and find what she's looking for. She would have to go to her fortress catacombs and look for the black soul gem of a Dark Elf that her family had for generations. She would also need the bone of a Dark Elf too, so it would seem she has to make plans on returning to her old world. But is going to wait until Naruto, Chloe, and Itachi return from their mission to Wave. Getting up from her chair, she descended down into the Yuzu basement, looking at the size of the room. It could be the perfect place to convert human females into Dark Elves as she looked at the ground. Balling her left fist, a white bubble formed around it as she punched it on the ground, forming a giant wide deep crater, causing her surroundings and the castle to shake from the minor tremor. Now that she created the wide round crater, she brought her cauldron and threw it in there before pulling out her scepter, using her dark magic to enlarge the cauldron, making it large enough to fit the crater size, as if she was making a pool. Now looking at her pit, as she called it, she will call this room the Dark Pit. She could use this pit to convert human females into Dark Elves once she has the proper ingredients from her old world. All she could do is wait for Itachi, Naruto, and Chloe to finish their mission, now heading back upstairs, going to her throne room. She noticed Shizune came in. Yes. Hachishaku-sama said. Itachi has returned. She said, causing the Dark Elf fusion to slightly widen her eyes a bit as she instantly teleported to the Yuzu docks where Itachi was and saw him with loads of slaves. As she looked around for Naruto and Chloe but didn't see them. Frowning, she stared at the Uchiha who stood by. Where are Naruto and Chloe? She said sternly at her Yokai general. They stayed behind to finish the mission. I brought the slaves, though, he said simply with her looking over at him, then towards all the slaves that were lined up. Bring them to the castle and introduce me to each of them. I will have Tsunade check them for injuries, said the fused Dark Elf Yokai with him nodding. While she turned at the sea, worried for the two. Izuna's house. I'm so glad you were okay, Tsunami-chan. said Tsunade looking at his daughter as she told him of how she was nearly raped and her son almost saw it as well, but then told him that she was saved by Uzumaki Shredder is now a masked hero who rescued her and her son. He felt relieved and didn't know how he would repay this Uzumaki Shredder. Maybe he should hire him instead of the shinobi who did a piss-poor job protecting his daughter. He was pissed at them for not being there to protect her while he was working on the bridge. More rumors had spreaded about Uzumaki Shredder, who is flanked by a black lizard and a beautiful dark-skinned woman with pointy ears who has decimated a bunch of Gato's thugs. Could he be their savior for Wave? Could he save them from Gato? Kakashi also wanted to know who this mysterious Uzumaki Shredder was and what his motive was here. He currently is training his students Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Sai. Maybe when he returns he will inform the Hokage about this Uzumaki Shredder. Meanwhile with Gato. So let me get this straight, you want me and Haku to go after this Uzumaki Shredder? Asks Zabuza with Gato nodding. Yes. He has stolen my slaves. And killed a good bunch of all my men in Waves. I demand his head. Gato demanded looking at the swordsman who frowned. And what about the bridge builder and the shinobi? Zabuza questioned seeing the short man frown. You can kill them after you kill Shredder. I want him dead now. Gato yelled. You realize you will have to pay me extra in going after this Uzumaki Shredder, Zabuza stated, causing Gato to scowl slightly. I will triple your pay if you kill him. I don't care how you do it, I just want him dead. Gato shouted, gripping his cane while Haku scowled at the man. Consider it done, I will wait for him to make his appearance, Zabuza said as he hefted up his sword and walked away with Haku following him. Zabuza-sama, are you sure it's wise for you to face this Uzumaki Shredder? I've heard rumors about what he did to Gato's thugs, Haku said in concern. I'm not very sure, Haku, and if he is an actual Uzumaki, then he's more of a challenge than I thought. Uzumakis are known for their sealing techniques. Zabuza said he did feel on edge of fighting this Uzumaki Shredder. He wondered where he could find him. Maybe all he needs to do is wait for the man, knowing that Uzumaki Shredder will come to him when he encounters the shinobi team. Currently sitting on her throne with Itachi beside her, Shizune and Tsunade are flanked by her left, looking at the many slaves who are now guests of her kingdom. Greetings fellow guests of my kingdom, I am your ruler Hachishaku-sama, new hailed queen of Yuzu, along my husband who is king, who is not here at the moment. All of you are no longer slaves, you are all guests and subjects of my kingdom now. Please come to my throne and introduce yourself to me, Hachishaku-sama said, looking at the raven-haired beauty with blue eyes. Step forward. And you are? Hachishaku-sama said looking at her. Hello your majesty, I am Naiko Robin, pleasure being a guest here in your kingdom, Robin had said looking at Hachishaku-sama. It's good to see you welcomed here, Miss Robin, Hachishaku-sama said gently looking at the blue-eyed tanned woman, checking out her figure, and could tell she is perfect dark elf material. Thank you. Robin said smiling as she walked back. Next. Hachishaku-sama said seeing two females walk up. There's a scary vibe around this woman. Her Yakai chakra is similar to a certain urban legend that was supposed to be sealed away. Warned Matabi, who shuddered in fear and couldn't explain why she felt fearful. Vegito was sweating slightly after hearing her. Larvae, be very respectful around that woman, there's something incredibly off about her, warned Chimay, who was trembling. Fu could only flinch a bit and gulped hearing Chimay as her and Yujito exchanged glances at each other, then at Hachishaku-sama. Introduce yourselves, the dark elf fusion asked. I am Yujito Nai, former Kunoichi of Kumo and Jinchuriki of the Two Tails, Yujito said, with Hachishaku-sama raising her brow a bit. Hachishaku-sama had told her about Jinchurikis and their unimaginable powers, and this woman holds the Two Tails, while Naruto holds the Nine Tails. She smiled a bit and Yujito was exactly dark elf material as she turned towards the mint-haired girl with orange eyes. I am Fu, former Kunoichi of Taki and of the Seven Tails, Fu introduced with Hachishaku-sama smiling more. This was perfect, she was definitely going to convince the other Jinchurikis to join her. Her husband holds the Nine Tails, these two hold 2 and 7 tails, which was perfect. She couldn't wait to turn them into dark elves. Pleasure meeting the two of you. It's good having you too, as guests, Hachishaku-sama said smiling while the two went back as she called the next person. And you are? She asked to see the shinobi man before her with two swords, with his black hair and a ponytail, wearing a yellow-clad shinobi armor. I am Hanzo Hasashi, known as Scorpion. Last member of the Shirai Ryu clan. I pledge my services to you, your majesty, Scorpion said as he bowed to her. Good, it's pleasure having you here in my ranks, Hanzo, Hachishaku-sama said looking at the man as he bowed before having a look at Shizune, who blushed at him. He noticed she was staring at him as Hachishaku-sama saw the next person come to her. Greetings your majesty, I am Dr. Crane, known as Scarecrow, Scarecrow introduced. Greetings Dr. Crane, glad you are joining my services, Hachishaku-sama said seeing the masked man walk away with a wolfman now appearing. Your Majesty, I am Zenaku the Duke Wolf, at your service, the Wolfman said, bowing to her as she smiled. Great to have you serve me, Duke Wolf, welcome to the ranks, Hachishaku-sama said as the humanoid lizard just appeared, hissing slowly. Your Highness, I am Reptile, I will serve you as your spy, the lizard man said as she nodded. And using MK9 version of Reptile, I like his design. Pleasure meeting you all here, I hope you will enjoy my kingdom. For now, go do what you want in New Yuzu, open up stores, markets, and etc. You're free to do what you want, she said, dismissing all of her new subjects as they went to the new city of Yuzu, while Tsunade and Shizune went to go start up the new Yuzu hospital that's been built up. While she turns to Itachi. Return to Naruto and Chloe at once and bring them back after they are finished with the mission, because when they get back we have an important mission at hand to take care of. Hachishaku-sama said, seeing her Yokai general nod, walk off flanked by his Batcon as they were heading back on the red galleon that belonged to red-haired Shanks Uzumaki. Sitting on her throne in deep thought, just waiting for Itachi to return Naruto and Chloe so she can start up their mission to Ostia. But first things first, she must be prepared. There's no telling who took over her fortress she left behind. She plans on leaving for Ostia in a half week and bringing in her new ranks. It seems she would have to create an inner circle. After she finds the ingredients she needs for the ritual of converting females of her choice into dark elves. What will she do then? Will she possibly find any pure-blooded dark elves in her world and bring them here? Yes, she could do that, and maybe she captured Celestine and all those princess knights and probably turned them all into dark elves, as she grinned evilly at the idea. Then she'll seek out for other females who could be destined to be fated as dark elves and wives for Naruto and maybe Itachi, since he's the last Uchiha and he's been very loyal to her and Naruto, and once she's finished she could destroy her old world, making it a distant memory to her while her and Naruto rule this world. And repopulate it with dark elves with strong blood of Namikaze, Uzumaki, and Yokai. She could hardly wait for a reunion with Celestine. She couldn't wait for the look on the high elf's face when they saw each other again. Everything will go exactly as planned once Ostia is no more. She'll set things in motion in this world by setting Naruto on the path to avenge his fallen clan, then conquer the other villages, turning it into a Yuzu dark elf nation. Humans have no choice in the matter to put their faith in her and Naruto when that happens. No one will oppose the dark elf Yuzu empire. Wave. Now in their hideout, both lovers were in bed as Naruto woke up with Chloe now waking up. Good morning, Naruto-kun, Chloe said with a smile as he smiled back at her. Morning, Chloe-chan, he said, now getting up out of the bed, putting on his clothes as she did the same thing. So what must be done now, Naruto-kun? She asked, looking at her witchblade before grabbing her quiver full of ebony arrows and bow. Well, we save waves and make it our territory and place it under our protection and wait for Itachi-sensei to return to pick us back up, Naruto said, checking for his fox predator gear. He swore when he returns home, he's signing the Xenomorph summoning contract. Should we get started then? She said, sharpening her dagger. Yes, we have to hunt down more of Gato's thugs and make sure they're purged, he said, turning towards her. I'll take a bath first, then we can go out hunting. She said, grabbing a towel and going to the bathroom while he went outside to check on Ripper. Ripper? He yelled out as he saw the Indoraptor appear out of the bushes, who was eating his breakfast, feasting on a deer. There you are, boy, he said, coming towards the black raptor of death, petting him and stroking his yellow streak. Go on and eat, cause later you and Chloe will probably end up hunting the rest of Gato's thugs and kill the man himself. He said, seeing the raptor flash that vicious smile that meant he was going to enjoy that. Later that evening. Taking a break after going on a hunt, Naruto, Chloe, and Ripper took a break as Naruto and Chloe were out in the village of Wave, just them while Ripper was at the hideout. Naruto decided to take Chloe out on a date. Both of them were sipping tea as a waitress brought in their food. Excuse me, miss? A woman asked from a table, looking at Chloe. Yes. She replied, turning her attention from Naruto. Are you the woman that is involved with Uzumaki Shredder? She asked as many other customers stopped at what they were doing and all eyes turned to Chloe as Naruto himself couldn't help but chuckle. Chloe herself raised an eyebrow. Yes, I am, Chloe said as everyone started coming towards her and Naruto. Can you tell us when he will save our village? Asked a random man. Are you his lover? Said a woman. Is Shredder-san going to kill Gato and save Tazuna-san from a missing ninja named Zabuza Mamachi? Said a man who works with building the bridge, as both Naruto and Chloe perked their heads up at the mention of a missing ninja named Zabuza. Itachi had told them about him, meaning he must be recruited to join their kingdom's ranks. Chloe blushed at how one of the civilians asked if she was Uzumaki Shredder's lover, while Naruto sent her a silent nod and winked his eye as if he was telling her to tell them. I am in fact Shredder-kun's wife. And yes, my husband will save your village and end the scum known as Gato, Chloe declared with many looking at her in hope. Thank you. Thank you. you don't have to pay for it," said the owner of the restaurant, who felt happy to have Uzumaki Shredder's wife here in his restaurant with a boy. Naruto himself grinned. Nobody didn't know he was Uzumaki Shredder. The next day on the bridge. As usual, Zabuza and Haku were there, coming to kill the bridge builder, but decided to wait for Shredder. Meanwhile, in the bushes, Naruto was already in his hybrid Predator Shredder armor as he put on his Kabuto-fused Fox Predator mask, turning it on as Ripper was standing beside him. Chloe already had her bow and arrows. She didn't feel like using her witchblade. "Are you ready for this, Chloe-chan?" Uzumaki Shredder said through his mask. "Ready when you are, Naruto-kun," she replied. "It seems Zabuza isn't alone, he has an accomplice with him," he said with her frowning. "You take the girl in the mask, I'll deal with Zabuza, but first we must persuade them to join us before fighting," Shredder said with Chloe nodding as he turned on his cloaking device as Chloe got on Ripper. Back on the bridge. "So you've finally come at last, Zabuza?" asked Kakashi, grabbing a kunai. "Yeah, I've come to kill you, your team and the builder, but I'm also here for him," Zabuza said, narrowing his eyes. "You're not referring to Uzumaki Shredder, are you?" Kakashi asked with a frown. And much to the surprise of everyone on the bridge, Uzumaki Shredder uncloaked himself as he was in between Zabuza and Kakashi, who looked shocked that they didn't even sense him or see him, let alone even hear him. "Good evening," Uzumaki Shredder said with his attention on Zabuza. As Chloe and Ripper landed on the bridge beside Shredder. "So you're the infamous Uzumaki Shredder this whole village has been talking about?" Zabuza asked with Shredder nodding. "Indeed I am, there is no reason to fight Zabuza Mamachi. Forget going after the bridge builder," Shredder said with Zabuza frowning. "And why would I do that?" the swordsman asked, looking at the masked warrior. "I can offer you and your accomplice a deal. A deal better than what Gato has stated." Shredder with Haku flinched a bit as Zabuza glared at the warrior. "Oh yeah? And what deal is that?" he asked. "Join my kingdom, you will be granted protection from hunter nins, from spare the bridge builder's life, and help me kill Gato," Shredder said with everyone gasping. Zabuza looked shocked and wasn't sure what he should do. Should he consider it or not? Kakashi and his team could only watch along with Tsunade. "Are you serious?" he asked, seeing Shredder nod. The swordsman thought it over for a bit as he looked towards Haku, who seemed to consider this as she kept her attention on the Uzumaki Shredder. "Very well, Haku, we no longer are after the bridge builder, we siding with the Shredder," he said, shocking Tsunade and Kakashi that Uzumaki Shredder was able to convince Zabuza. "Damn you, Zabuza," shouted Gato, who has a whole army of thugs. "Whatever, I never planned on paying you anyway. Kill him. Kill Shredder and anyone else but Zabuza's little bitch and the beautiful dark-skinned woman. She could be quite useful to me in bed and to all my men," Gato said, licking his lips at Chloe, who flinched a bit. It was at this moment Gato said the wrong thing. For after saying that, the whole area is floored and bathed in so much anger, bloodlust and killer intent that would make Orochimaru look like a scared little kid. Uzumaki Shredder is the source of all of this. His mask's eyes glow red with anger and are ablaze with power. Ripper feels his alpha's bloodlust and is getting excited. Naruto knows about Chloe's past, and to hear someone say that they were going to make his wife go through that again after she is finally free is unforgivable. "So," Shredder says in his deep mask voice. "For that comment towards my wife, you will die, you swine. You and the rest of your fellow pigs will not leave here alive. For that, I promise." Chloe looks to her husband in awe, admiration, and love for defending her. Then, behind them, Shredder summons one Shodokan from each tribe. Naruto sees this as a good opportunity to test the Shodokan. He tells the Shodokan to attack and they are the first to strike. Then Shredder says, "Ripper, sick him." And Ripper roars and jumps into the carnage. Uzumaki Shredder and Chloe then start walking towards the fighting. Chloe kills any mercenary that breaks from the fighting to attack them. Shredder is not bothered by the carnage, instead, he is focused on just not taking his eyes off him. Chloe, Ripper, and the Shodokan are making short work of Gato's men, but that's not hard. They are drunk mercs and dishonored samurai, not true warriors. Two samurai stand in front of Gato, but Shredder barely bothers with them. With one slash of his wrist blades, they both go down, dead. Gato's men are slaughtered and he is surrounded. Gato begins to make Shredder offers if he spares him. Chloe is disgusted by this man. Gato's offers full of Shredder's ears, he says. "I told you that I promised you'd die. And I will always keep my promises." So, he cuts off Gato's good arm since the other was broken by Haku, then Chloe impales Gato's crotch with her dagger, and then Naruto leaves Gato's fate to Ripper, who tears him apart after roaring in his face. Those who witnessed the whole massacre felt sick and green and even threw up. Zabuza felt a chill run down his spine. Maybe it was a good idea to side with the Shredder. Kakashi and his team could only feel horrified at what they witnessed. "Konoha Shinobi, get out of here, you're not welcome here," Shredder warned, glaring at them as they flinched. Let's get out of here guys, this guy is out of our league, Kakashi said with him, and his geniuses now forced to leave Wave since they felt very terrified of fighting Uzumaki Shredder. Uzumaki Shredder. Thank you, said Tsunade as he heard the villagers wave and see what happened as they all cheered for their savior. Uzumaki Shredder. Uzumaki Shredder. Uzumaki Shredder. Cheered the villagers as he turned towards them with Chloe at his side and Ripper as Abusa and Ahaku joined them. People of Wave. You are now free. I declare this village under my protection. Shredder said, raising his fist in the air with everyone cheering out freedom and more cheering for Uzumaki Shredder. Since you are our hero, then I hereby dub this bridge the Great Uzumaki Shredder. Tsunade said with the villagers roaring in approval. Thanks for watching my video and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic, link is in the description, see you next time, till then sayonara.